Shalom. Our Torah portion this week is a double portion. It's called Bhar Bchukotai. Now I want to draw your attention to some verses found at the end of chapter 25 and the beginning of chapter 26 of the book of Leviticus. Let's take a look.
If a resident alien among you has prospered, and your kin, being in straits, come under that one's authority, and given over to the resident alien among you, or to an offshoot of an alien's family, your kin shall have the right of redemption, even after having been given over. Now we skip down to verse 55 and we read, "For it is to me that the Israelites are servants. They are my servants, whom I freed from the land of Egypt, I, the Eternal, your God. Lo ta'asu lachem elelim ufesel umatzeva lo takimu lachem ve'even maskit lo titnu ba'artzachem lishtachavot alechem ki ani Adonai lehechem et shabtotai tishmaru umikdashi tira'u ani Adonai. You shall not make idols for yourselves, or set up for yourselves carved images or pillars, or place figured stones in your land to worship upon. For I, the Eternal, am your God. You shall keep my Sabbaths and venerate my sanctuary, mine, the Eternal's."
The passage I just read deals with the ancient institution of indentured slavery. You know, it happened in ancient Israel that when an Israelite fell on hard times, he could sell his labor to another person for up to 6 years. He lived on the land of his master. He was given his basic needs, a place to live, food, but all the fruits of his labor went to the master. And on the 7th year, he was allowed to go free. And we read that there were provisions for his relatives to buy out the contract, so to speak. His relatives could come to the master and pay the master off for the number of years of labor remaining in that 6-year period of indentured slavery. Now, the Torah brings up an interesting situation. What happens to an Israelite who is sold into indentured slavery, not to another Israelite, but to a resident alien, a non-Israelite? What is the Israelite to do? How is he to behave living in this predominantly, pronouncedly non-Jewish environment? Is he to give up his Jewish practices? Should he worship the gods of his master and violate the laws of the Torah? Well, we see that God comes into the picture here saying, listen, you are not the servant of anyone else but me. Ultimately, you're not the servant of even another Israelite, let alone a non-Israelite. And it goes on to say that the Israelite should not worship, should not engage in the pagan practices of his master. And specifically, it talks about 2 commandments, 2 aspects of Jewish life, of Jewish identity, that must not be violated. Now, obviously, some compromises must have been made, but there's 2 areas where compromises were not made, and they were when it came to Shabbat, Sabbath observance, and reverence for the sanctuary. Those two things were absolutely imperative that the Jewish indentured slave had to observe. Now, I think that this is good advice, not just for the ancient Israelites, but for us who live, at least here in North America, live in a predominantly non-Jewish environment. We have to make compromises. We have to give up some aspects of our Jewish practices here or there to get along in this world. But there are two things that are absolutely essential, imperative for Jewish continuity, for the formation and the continuance of Jewish identity, and they are the Sabbath. Some form of Sabbath observance has to be maintained, and also the synagogue must be the center of Jewish life. Jews need to come together to pray in a synagogue, to form a community. It is absolutely essential if we are to continue as a distinct group here in North America. What the Torah seems to be advocating here is for Jews not to buckle under in a non-Jewish environment, not to make compromises beyond a certain point, to form a Jewish counter culture, so to speak. And this is the great challenge of living as a Jew in a place like America. I hope that you will take these words to heart. I hope that you will read this week's Torah portion and come to your own conclusions. Shabbat Shalom.